In this video, we're going to go over some of the core principles in UX optimization for your website, some of the big do's and don'ts basically. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something called the 5-second test. And this is a really good test that you can do for your site, or for really any site, where we're going to open it up, and for 5 seconds, you'll look at the page, you'll count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and try and figure out if just from the home page you can decide what the call to action is, what the site is about, what's the main content, what's the name, all those different things. So I'm going to open up a new tab, and we're going to do the countdown, all right, on this Zendesk tab. Ready? All right, so that was about 5 seconds. So what was that website about? You can answer this in your head. So Zendesk, what was the site about? What was the main content? What was the call to action? With Zendesk, this is a customer service, basically like training and company where you can hire essentially a customer service team to work with your customers so that you don't have to deal with it. So it's basically like a help desk. All right, so we can see that there's these get started buttons, view demo, free trial. So they're trying to sell you something. There's pricing, products, all these other things. So all of that within the 5-second test. So this passes the 5-second test, at least for me. You might go to another website and have, difficulties doing that, or you don't know what the title is, it's not clear. And that brings us to our first point, which I'll get to in just a second, but basically the 5-second test can be used on any site, and it's a really good idea if you can tell what your design is within 5 seconds and what the title is and the call to action, like I just said. So let's go back here, and our first kind of point is title. You should have a really clear title for your site. Wink, right? It's central. Zendesk, we're going to go over these a little bit later. BBC, Amazon. Okay, the title should be clear and we should know what it is. We should also see the title as in the HTML title up above. So Wink Wine Club, Zendesk Customer Service, BBC Travel, Amazon.com. Right, so we're seeing these different tabs and it's easy to register exactly what this site is about. All right, so clear site titles, that's a big factor here. Our second kind of UX principle is clear navigation. All right, I should be able to go to your website and immediately see the navigation. Now, nowadays, everything is done on a top bar navigation. So I should be able to come in here and look and say, okay, if I want to go straight to the wines, I can click this. If I want to go find out information, I can click that. Sign in, get started, right? It's all clear in there. Zendesk, same thing. All the navigation's right here at the top. BBC Travel, all of it's right here, and there's another navigation bar right here, like a sub-navigation. Amazon, all of it's right here, or with this little hamburger menu on the side. Okay, very clear, constant navigation. Keep that in mind. The next principle is imagery. The first thing our eye is drawn to whenever we visit a website is imagery. Right? I look at the title and I see this right here. This is a wine website. Notice that these aren't using just stock images for, image's sake. That's a very common mistake I see with beginning web designers, is that they don't integrate their images into the content of their website. So we have this really nice image of wine. It's not too distracting, like it's there, but we can look back over here and read their statement. We have some logos down here, some great little icons that they've written, all with wine. Zendesk, we have these people kind of holding each other up. Again, more illustration. Imagery showing the product. Imagery showing the founders or the other company people, which we'll talk a little bit more about this, but this is really used to build trust. Again, more imagery. And although this is much more abstract, right, it's not like a photograph of customer service desk, it is, it is illustrative, and it is a kind of abstraction of that idea. BBC Travel, first thing we have is a big hero image at the top. Amazon, every image is related to what they're advertising, right? It's basically a wall of images. Okay, so that brings us to our next point, which these are some of our don'ts, so our avoids. Avoid using jargon. All right, so technical words, especially for products and for navigation. Wines, gifts, discover, right? Very simple words. Zendesk, same thing. Simplicity. They're not necessarily listing a bunch of strange kind of phrases that are just for their company. Whenever you're selling products, you might have like a product line. Like for instance here's a product line. Okay, if you have a product line that says like the TX7000 model, well, people don't necessarily know what that is. So it's better to go with simpler language, less jargon, talk in plain English, don't try and use, fancy big words, just simple language. Another thing to avoid, this is really a good principle of design in general, is the wall of text. Notice on these websites, simple, short sentences. There's usually just one sentence per area. So two sentences here, one sentence here, one sentence here, right? One sentence here. There's not this long explanation. It's all short little sentences, little quotes, and you can have longer pieces of information as they scroll further down into your page or as they get deeper. So for instance, if I go to like products, I'm probably going to have a little bit more text because it's going to be giving me a little bit more information. Yep. So there's more text, right? Because I'm deeper in the site. But on the home page, we have just short, concise sentences. Avoid the wall of text. No one wants to read. They want to be able to quickly scan your page for the information that they need. And lastly, and this should be very obvious, ads. Advertisements. As much as you might want to make money from your website, from people visiting your website, advertisements simply, they don't bring in that much money, and they're also usually a pretty big detractor, and people will avoid your site if you have too many ads. Additionally, these days, almost everyone has an ad blocker installed. Here's an example where there might be some ads at the very bottom of the page. So these are kind of ads for other articles on BBC, but we're not seeing ads directly on this. Amazon, we have a similar kind of situation. They're advertising their other products. Like this is technically an ad for a gift card, but it's subtle and it fits in with the rest of the page. Pop-ups, all those kinds of things, that is dead. Do not do that. Those are really the basic do's and don'ts. The 5-second test is an invaluable tool that I can't stress enough. Do that with every page of your website. See if you can figure it out. Make sure you have a clear title, clear navigation, clear and consistent navigation, clear imagery, and then avoiding jargon, walls of text, and ads.